Take risks. There's no point. You've done parts of your asshole. I make the suggestion. Welcome to the Matt Talk Show. Welcome to the program. It's a Friday. Thank God. It's been a long week for our team, and a lot of intel drops this week as well. And been a busy week in American politics. And I'm just going to cut right to it, man. Honored to have one of my good friends here in the industry, Joe Biggs, on the line with me. And most of you know Joe. And I just like shooting the shit with Joe. Joe, how are you, man?
Pretty good, brother. How are you?
Man, I'm good. Just kind of like you, man, covering the shit show that is American politics. And I named this one No Holds Barred because I have the language police that get onto me once in a while. I'm sure you've been there. And Joe, I'll just throw this one at you real quick. I'm going to throw you a curveball real fast, see if you want to hit it. But the thing that amazes me most about conservatives that I've noticed, our base anyway, we're more concerned with language. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that I'm a saint by any means. I cuss like a sailor and have for years. But I just don't understand. We're concerned with language here. Like, I literally had a lady yesterday that was upset for one word that I said. Wasn't even one of the bad words. And the Democrats have, you look at Act Blue, they've raised $1 billion. Beto O'Rourke has outraised Ted Cruz 5-1 in Texas. And I think Ted Cruz can win if all the conservatives come out and vote, but he's going to have a hell of a battle. O'Rourke is Soros' boy, but I mean, when is our side, Joe, going to get some tough skin? It's got to happen, right?
The right side's the most complacent side I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm right as hell, I'm not conservative because I cuss like a sailor. I drink all the time. I've done all types of drugs before in my younger days. I'm a hellion, but I'm an American badass hellion. I love my country, and I've got, the passion and the energy to go out and do shit, but I can't be, there can't just be a few of us standing out there all the time. You look at the left is motivated. The left has, energy. They have money. People on the right are fucking extremely complacent because they think Trump won. The only reason Trump won is because Hillary Clinton and the left were complacent, and we really got lucky on that one, to be honest.
Right.
The left thought, because they believed the mainstream media, that Hillary was going to win 100-1, that she had zero chance of losing. So people were like, I don't really need to, waste my time going out. It doesn't really matter. This is already in the box. This is easy. But the left saw, we were complacent, and now they're coming out fighting. Right. And if people on the right don't understand that there's a war going on right now for this country, for what it stands for, and if we want it to continue to be, America first, we're going to have to fucking put on our boots and our Kevlars and actually get ready for some war, because sitting around and being keyboard, patriots all day, that only gets you so far. Yeah, it's cool if you tweet somebody or you retweet shit, but that's not going to change the direction of our country. And that's not going to help us to continue to go down the path that we're trying to go down with Trump and his agenda, which is America first, which is having nationalism and patriotism and things like that, and putting our family and our faith and everything ahead of all this other stuff, because we have enough problems in our own country that we don't need to worry about outside shit at this point in time. So people on the right really need to pull their heads out of their asses and the sticks and 2x4s and all that other shit. They're like, well, I shared that tweet, man. I'm doing my duty. I'm patriotic as fuck. I went to a rally once. Well, motherfreaker, here's the thing. We're being censored right now. They're trying to shut us down on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Well, guess what? Before there was social media, the right was fucking coming out in droves.
Right.
Before there was social media, we were able to get out there, up in people's asses, and motivate them to go to the polls, to get organized, to get involved in their local governments at the state level and things like that. If you want to make some change, go do that. Well, how are we going to talk to our brothers and sisters, Joe Biggs? Well, They did it before social media.
Right.
Go out into your towns, wear a cool T-shirt that says "I love Trump." I guarantee you, when you walk into a room, it's going to be split in half. You're going to have people that hate you, and you're going to have a few guys over there go, "Man, I like that T-shirt right there. Hey, let's have a conversation."
Right.
You take that gentleman's phone number, and eventually, your group of friends who are Trump supporters or right-wing people start to grow. And next thing you know, you guys start having weekly meetings, and you start hanging out, and you start planning. This is what we need to do. We need to go knock in these neighborhoods. We need to go pass out flyers over here. We need to get involved and tell people these are the candidates that we want to help us down that path we need. You don't need fucking social media to do that because we did it without it.
Right. No, I mean, spot on. I mean, I hope people are listening. I've been pounding the drum for the 2018 midterms. I mean, hell, I went out for a couple of weeks, back in May with Michelle Mortensen, who was running for Congress out there against Danny Tarkanian. And a lot of these, like as Joe's stating, a lot of these conservatives who they literally can't pull their head out of their asses, and they vote for these establishment people. And Michelle gave it hell. Rick Harrison from Pawn Stars and I campaigned for her on multiple occasions out there together and fought like hell, but she lost the primary to a guy who's lost 8 straight elections. Not 1, not 2, 8. He's lost every election he's ran for in Nevada. He's going off of his daddy's name, Danny Tarkanian. His whole family backed John Kasich during the election and was not a Trump guy, whereas Michelle Mortensen was. And so it's the other thing I see, Joe, is this, like, you're spot on. The divide in our party, the fact that people are as a conservative, as a right winger, whatever you want to call us, but it's a hellacious divide, and so many people are more worried with keeping up with the damn Kardashians than they are with what's going on in their own country. And go ahead, bud. I'm sorry.
The biggest thing that I always hear is, "Man, I ain't got time to go out there. I'm not Antifa. They ain't got no jobs." That's bullshit. Right now, we have the strongest economy and the lowest unemployment rate in a long, long fucking time. So what that says is that all people, left or right, are working right now. People have jobs. So that saying is, well, I ain't got time to take, I ain't got the time to take off of work to go do that. Well, guess what? The left's making time to do it because they think it's fucking important.
Right.
They believe in what they believe in, and they're taking the time out of their day to go stand up for their beliefs. Why won't the right do the same thing? Why won't they get energized? Why won't they sit there and tell their boss, "You know what? I care more about this country than I do about this damn job, and you should too."
Absolutely.
And step off. They're not going to fucking fire you for that.
No, and not at all. And Joe,
and it's your right to go out there and vote. It's your right to go out there and do that stuff, and they're doing it.
Right.
And none of them are getting fired either. If they can do it, you can go do it too.
Absolutely. And folks, I hope you're listening. I mean, this is what we've been hammering you. I know Joe's been doing it. Other guys out there have been helping as well, like Adam Gingrich and others, and we're all trying to beat the damn drum and get folks woke the hell up. Because I promise you, the Democrats are coming with every fiber in their being in November. And we've been painted this bullshit story, Joe, that, the Democratic Party's broke. But nobody will talk to you about the facts in the mainstream media, and half the independent media won't even cover it because it's not a feel-good story. Act Blue, which is one of the 3 major arms of the Democratic Party, has raised $1 billion with a B for the 2018 midterms. With a B. They only spent $1.2 billion in the entire damn election in 2016. Think about that. And then we're not even talking about Share Blue and Media Matters, Joe, and all the other ones. I mean, and so this bullshit picture that's been painted.
If they win the midterms, they're going to go for impeaching Trump.
Right. And it's about time that you don't even have to be a conservative. If you're a Bernie Sanders supporter and you're voting blue after what they did to Bernie Sanders, you're an idiot stick. They literally, I don't know, this is an unpopular thing for me to say, but it would be very hard for Donald Trump to have won that election against Bernie Sanders, Joe. My opinion. Very hard if Bernie had been their nominee. He had the base energized a lot and not as complacent, of course, as the Hillary Clinton camp. And literally, they're so corrupt, they screwed one of their own nominees out of the primaries. So, if you're a Bernie Sanders supporter, how can you support that party anymore? And if I'm a conservative, which I am, I'm out trying to talk to those folks too, Joe, and bring them over, give them a little love and try to get them woke the hell up. What's your thought on that?
Yeah, of course. You always should cross lines. You should always be willing to break bread with the other side and have a conversation. I mean, that's what this country used to do. I mean, It hasn't been this intense and violent between two sides and forever. I mean, this is just insane. I mean, we should be able to sit down and openly talk about who we like, who we support, our ideas, our passions, and things like that without having to worry about some psycho coming over with a bike lock to bash you in the head.
Right.
And with that being said, if you're on the right, you don't need to be going to events dressed up like a LARPer with fucking stupid trash can shields and helmets, and you look like a fucking broke Power Ranger running around and waving damn, broomsticks at people and fucking plastic swords and shit. It looks ridiculous. If you can't go out there and have a conversation with those people and take the high road, then get the hell out of here.
Right.
Because all they're going to do is use you as propaganda to go, see, the right is violent. See, the right is that. Because the left has been completely and totally brainwashed into thinking that everyone right of Stalin is literally Hitler.
Right.
So we already have that. And they've literally bit that hook and they've held on to it. They've taken the bait. There's no coming back from that. The left thinks that we're all Nazis. So when you go out there to these events and you're going out there, making videos beforehand, we're going to go out here and fuck up Antifa. Well, you're playing right into the thing.
Right.
Go out there and have a conversation. If they're not willing to have a conversation with you, if you can't be the bigger person and walk away, don't even go.
Right. Right. I mean,
I've been, I don't know how many events in the middle of chaos, and I've never once started throwing punches at people. I've had people spit at me, and I've done all that. But I'm not going to give them a fucking clip that they can use, that they can play time and time again on CNN or something like that, where they go, see, these guys are so violent, because they already ignore their own violence.
right.
So we have to rise above it. We have to be better. We have to be willing to reach that hand across the table and shake their hand. We have to be willing to sit there and try to talk. And even if it's like talking to a brick wall, at least you're being the better person and you're doing the right thing. And you can go home at night knowing that you're not some snot-nosed little Cheeto face-covered brat who lives in his mom's basement.
No, I mean, and that's spot on. And the other thing too, Joe, I mean, everything you're saying is just, what we've been saying for quite some time. As you have to be educated too. Start reading people, follow people like Joe on social media. There's a ton of people you can follow out there that are great follows, but I mean, Scott Adams, there's lots of great people that'll put information out there. You can follow our team, of course, but get educated. Because the last thing you want to do, Joe, is to try to debate someone on the left and you don't even know what the hell you're talking about. And I see it all the time in town halls. I see it all the time. And I actually, like what Joe's saying, I'm a elected Republican, whatever you want to call it, committeeman here in Arkansas. Doesn't mean that I'm a diehard Republican. It means that I'm conservative. And I want to be involved in politics not only at the local, the state, the federal level. And it just takes getting out. And our side, Joe, is so damn lazy. I mean, they won't even go out and put out signs or knock on doors like they used to. That's how we used to win elections. Knocking on doors, shaking hands, hugging grandmas and kissing babies. And man, nobody wants to do that anymore. They're too damn lazy. And I just, I can't reiterate what you said enough. It's just, it's insane how lazy the right has gotten. And I know a lot of people, don't want to hear that. I had a tough love show yesterday and pissed off quite a few followers, but it's got to be said, right?
Yeah, you, the only way to be an example, the only way to be a good leader in anything is to be critical of yourself. And myself is the right side of the party, So I have to be able to look myself in the mirror and go, what am I doing wrong? And then I have to look at what are we doing as a whole wrong. And if you can't be critical of that, then you've got other issues that you need to work on besides that. But yeah, the right has gotten too fucking lazy, and I've been saying it for years. And I'm way more critical of the right than I am the left, because I'm not left wing. I don't care about them.
Right.
I do care about my side, so I'm going to be critical of it. Whenever I'm not criticizing something, that means I don't care about it.
Right.
When I was in the military, if I was digging in the soldier's ass, if I was yelling at him, and I was always screaming at him, it wasn't because I disliked this individual. It's because I saw potential in him, and I wanted to light a fire under his butt and get him motivated and move to do something. And that's what you got to do sometimes. Sometimes people have to have that harsh reality thrown in their face. Sometimes they need to get yelled at. Sometimes they need to be told that they're a freaking dumbass.
Joe, I got a question in the chat. I think this is great for you to address, because I say it and I'm considered a mean bastard. Maybe if you say it, people will listen. Just had someone say, a lot of us are scared to show our support of Trump in public for fear of being attacked. What's your thought on that? I'm sure you've heard that a lot.
I mean, I wear Trump shirts when I go out, and I go out by myself all the time, especially right now. I just moved to a new, back to Florida. I lived on the West Coast. I don't know a lot of people over here on the East Coast where I live now, but I go out by myself with shirts. You know, if you walk in there, like, with your chest out and you're looking everybody in the eye, like, you look like you're trying to start shit. Like, I just came in here wearing this Trump shirt to start shit, and then people are going to perceive you as a threat.
Right.
Or you can just do like I do. I walk in with a Trump t-shirt on. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hey, can I get a Miller Lite over there? Awesome, brother. Thanks. Awesome. Hey, man, how you guys doing over there? How you doing, ladies? Awesome. Yeah. And you be that nice fucking individual. Now they see the Trump, and then they see the attitude, and they go, wow, that's pretty cool. And people are more inclined to not fuck with you then.
Right.
Then you're going to have some Antifa that might show up, but really, I mean, unless you live in Berkeley or Portland, or, parts of downtown Austin where I used to live, or, maybe Manhattan, you're not really going to be running into Antifa. I doubt Missoula, Montana has a huge Antifa, population, or, where do you live in Arkansas? I doubt there's a huge population of Antifa there.
Yeah,
right?
I live in Northwest Arkansas where Walmart's headquartered. Yeah, it's not a whole lot of, it's weird. Antifa doesn't seem to come to the South very often where we're at.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something that you're going to encounter that much. And the reason you think that is because the media wants to fearmonger and play to that. They want you to be scared. They want you to be embarrassed by what you support in public. I say, fuck that. I say, wear your shirt, wear your MAGA hat. I was in downtown Orlando with Roger Stone a couple weeks ago. And downtown Orlando was like huge LGBT, left wing, Bernie bros and all that shit. And we had 20 people. All right, there's thousands and thousands of people downtown right now. It was a Saturday afternoon. People were drunk off their asses. And you would think that was grounds for, hey, this is going to pop off. 20 guys with red MAGA hats on. Not one person came up to us and did anything. Why? Because we walked into every bar joking and laughing, paying attention to each other, not trying to fucking start shit with other people, And when you do that, people will leave you the hell alone. Yeah. And if you make videos of yourself on the internet, I'm going to fuck up Antifa, and you go out in public and then Antifa attacks you, well then, hey, that's like running around and poking a bear and then getting mad when that thing mauls your ass.
Right, right.
Be an adult. Stop putting videos out on the internet to make you look like you're some hardcore, badass, some Johnny Badass, because people are going to try you. Right.
Right. No, I mean, and that's exactly, I can't say anything else. I mean, you are in control of you. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. And they don't, if you can handle yourself, Joe, like most of us do, you, me, and others, you don't have to go around, like you said, thumping your chest and walking into a bar immediately trying to start shit. You just don't have to. But I think so many people feel like, and a lot of it is, it's fueled on both sides of the media. Fox News is fueling all the anger towards the liberals, and then you've got all the rest of the media fueling anger towards the conservatives. And
I don't know about that. The Fox News is starting to fuel a little bit of anger in me.
Oh, no, me too. That's what I was going to say. There's only about 10% of Fox News in the evenings that is not liberal anymore. It's unbelievable to me. I can't even watch the programming during the day anymore. I would agree with you there. But used to, that's the way it was. Now it's just basically everyone, pretty much ganging up on the president and anyone who supports this president, and that's kind of the model that they're all running with. It's basically, we hate Trump, I hate Trump. It's unbelievable that they can hate someone. I saw a quote from John Brennan yesterday. I don't know if you saw it or not, and he stated that, and he literally stated that, hang in there. Patriotism will eventually prevail. Now, this guy talking about patriotism, that's a great, thing anyway. I won't even get going on that. But he says, the country's going to eventually get back to being the way it was, and we're going to turn this thing around. We're going to get rid of this presidency. And I'm sitting here going, Joe, for anybody at home, you look at 4.1% GDP, you look at 3.9% unemployment, you look at almost 500,000 manufacturing jobs added, almost 5 million jobs added. Lowest unemployment rates in the history for blacks, Hispanics, and women in this country. Now, and then you look at the economy. Now, let me just throw this at you. Who in their right mind wants that to go away? What the hell do you want to go back to? Sucking? I cannot understand how anyone I don't give a shit if you're a Republican. I don't give a shit if you're a Democrat. I don't care what your affiliation is party-wise. I care about results. So how in the hell can anyone want this country to go back to it was the way economically under Barack Obama or Bush for that matter? What's your thought on that, man?
I mean, I don't get it.
I don't either.
Some people are just insane. It's all identity politics and stuff like that. People, you know, it was a black president, yay, and this was so great in American history, and that's what people are focusing on. Let's take that away. Who cares? Great. I mean, that's awesome. Yeah. But let's just look at the individual and let's look at the job they've done. When you're president, we shouldn't be looking, oh, he's the first black president. No, he's a man who was elected to do a job. Now, what was his job, and has he done it? No.
No.
So that's what we should judge it on. It shouldn't be this whole, well, he's the first black president, and he's so cool, and I like how he looks in his suit, and he's so neat, and he hangs out with rap stars all day. Like, and you're saying that Trump's not presidential? He hangs out with dudes that literally talk about raping and drugging women on a daily basis. But that's okay. But Trump said when you're rich, they let you grab them by the...
Right.
So that sounds like consent to me. That doesn't sound like he goes, I drop some pills in their drink and they drink it, yo, and then I slap it up on them, yo. You know, like, that. He's not doing that.
No. I mean, he's hanging out with, you know, other successful people. That's the word I should use. He's hanging out with successful business people and CEOs and things of that nature to where he's trying to literally... Bentley, hush. Sorry, I've got somebody here at the house. If you guys couldn't tell, I got a pit bull going off, so they'll have to get over it. But you know, he's hanging out with CEOs. He's hanging out with all of those people that are successful. He's not hanging out, like Joe said, with rap stars and celebrities in Hollywood who hates America. And make no mistake about it, they hate America. There's no, I mean, I just, like, literally, have you seen the latest with Steven Tyler and Aerosmith, Joe?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how many of you know this that are listening and watching. They literally, Steven Tyler of Aerosmith sent a cease and desist to President Trump to not use his music any longer. Now think about that. Millions of people are watching the Trump rallies, Joe. Tens of thousands are attending them. And you literally just crapped on every one of them. And it's, I just don't understand. If I'm a celebrity or I'm a Hollywood person, I personally would honestly want anybody who wants to buy my music or watch my movies to watch it without alienating them. And the fact that they continue to alienate half the country blows my mind. And so I guess, you know, what's Trump going to do now? If I were Trump, I'd just go straight with somebody who he knows endorses him, just play nothing but Kid Rock music at every damn venue. I mean, go with somebody who actually gives a shit about you. But I can't believe...
Okay, there's up and coming people out there that are huge Trump, like
right.
You know, freaking, you got the white rapper dude, Anomaly. He makes all the cool videos and shit on Facebook. He's a big Trump guy. He just came out with a song yesterday. It's called I Like Trump. It's like top of the charts right now. Nice. On iTunes and shit. I mean, there's all these people out there. The Marine rapper. There's all these, and there's rock groups and stuff. I Like Rock. You know, there's tons of people out there that give them some attention, man. Let them do it, man, because screw all these other people. They don't know how to do the game. They don't know how to play it right. Like you said, you're a freaking entertainer. Your job is get on that fucking stage and play that song so I don't have to think about the politics I've had to think about all week. I'm paying $300 to see your punk ass stand there and dance around and sing a song that I've heard a million times on the radio. It makes me happy. It makes me forget about the fact that Comey's getting away with so much shit. It makes me forget about the fact that Bruce Orr and Nellie Orr are going to get away with shit. It makes me forget the fact that the Democrats were the ones actually colluding with fucking Russia and other foreign agents. You know, so right. I want to go, and I don't want politics injected into my entertainment. Because that's your job. Dance. Throw that fucking ball. Catch that ball. Dribble that ball. Play that song. And if you don't like it, don't be a freaking entertainer. Because right. That's your job. Well, I'm a human being. No, you're a freaking entertainer. You put on that fucking uniform and you get paid millions of dollars, or you get on that stage, dude looks like a libtard, and you sit there and you look like a cracked out idiot bouncing around. That's your job. Entertain me or shut the F up.
Yeah, I mean, and that's exactly it. I mean, and the same thing that, you look at the movie stars, you look at, all of these people ran their mouth on how Trump would never become president, and now they all have to eat crow. They all said they were going to move out of the country. None of them have left. They're all still here, just bitching and moaning and belly aching, and they're changing. You've probably seen this. They're changing. They're so mentally deranged at this point, folks. They're changing the name vagina to front holes. How many of you have seen that at home?
Wait, what?
Oh yeah, so there's several liberal outlets, including the city of San Francisco's health department, that have now said, Joe, that vagina is offensive. So they are literally changing the terminology, and it's going across the country now to front holes.
Front holes?
Front holes.
That sounds even worse.
It sounds way worse. So they're going to change. Vagina is,
that sounds
offensive.
More degrading, I think.
I think it sounds way. I mean, you going to put on your vagina hat or your front hole hat? I think I'd rather put on a vagina hat.
I was thinking other ways to use the word. But
yeah. I mean, it's just it's absurd. So
could you imagine hearing that like in a never mind.
In a classroom setting, if you're a 12-year-old and the teacher says, "Now, ladies, you have a front hole." I mean, think about that. How many Snickers you're going to have for a 6th or 7th grade class when they start teaching health?
Could you imagine being one of those like lonely dudes that calls like those sex hotlines? He's like, "Yeah, talk dirty to me," and then she starts saying "front hole," and you're like, "What the hell is going on here? Are you mentally retarded? What the hell? I thought I was getting the good shit. I paid an extra quarter."
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any sane person wants to hear you want this front hole. Just doesn't sound great, Joe. Doesn't sound great at all. God, but I mean it's something every day that they're offended by. This week it's vaginas that they're offended by, so they're going to change the name to front holes. No clue what they're going to call a penis yet. Who knows on that one? Front stick. Pointy thing. I mean, I don't know. But that'll be next, Joe. They'll be going into that one. Do what?
A change stick?
Yeah, there you go. A change stick.
I'm so sad I got one of these. I watched this show the other day. It's on Netflix. It just came out. I'm not boycotting. I don't boycott shit. I just either like it and I just don't watch it. But there's good shit that's on Netflix, so I give them that. And there's bad shit. And I found one of the bad things. But it was 50-50. There's a new show on there. It's called Magic for Humans. And it's got some really funny skits. But there's one skit, where they do a gender reveal thing. They find out if it's a boy or girl. And this guy goes to do this magic trick for him, but they told him that they don't want to say whether it's a boy or girl because the baby hasn't been born yet and isn't old enough to decide what it's going to be. And then they bring in a gender studies professor to like, all right, before we do this gender reveal party, we just want you to know that the couple that's having the baby is very progressive and they don't believe that the child is a boy or a girl based on how they're born, if they have a ding-a-ling or a vagina, but that child will decide from the 52 genders of what it'll be when it grows up. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, holy shit, dude. Like, how are you force-feeding this down people's face? That's disgusting.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I just don't know. I want to be in a room when someone says that because I'm going to raise my hand and I'm going to say something. I'm loud, and when I hear someone say shit, like, I'm that guy that, there's a rule, or I'm that guy who does that.
There's nothing wrong with that, Joe. I mean, nothing wrong with that.
I purposely do it, and as drunk, like, the drunker I get, the more louder, and I'm fucking, like, I'm getting heated about my politics, man. I love it. It's so much fun, and it's not being violent. It's not jumping in anyone's face. It's just getting in there and talking about. But I would love to be in one of those rooms where, like, well, there's 52 genders. I want to be like, excuse me? No. Because I can tell you, I just had a baby not too long ago, and there was only 2 check boxes on that fucking paper that the doctor had, and it said girl or boy.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
And you know how they knew? Because one had a vagina, and then one can have a penis, and that's how you tell.
Right.
That's it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, Roger.
It's pretty simple when you break it down like that. It's completely simple. And something my wife was showing me the other night, she was just disgusted by. Have you seen the like, I don't know how old they are, I'm assuming 5 to like 10-year-old boys that they're putting makeup on and in dresses and putting them in pageants now? Have you seen this?
Yeah.
And it's I've got 3 daughters at home, and we try to teach right. We try to do right by them. I've got a 4, 11, and 17-year-old, and so it's just. But when you see that out there, and I even had one of my oldest, the other day, which was a mistake to say here, basically stated, well, it's 2018, genders, don't matter anymore. That was a mistake. Especially when I can hear it, within earshot. And it's just one of those things where the idiocy that they're teaching in the public schools, and I've been saying this for a long time, they're indoctrinating the kids. It's just, that's the biggest problem. 85% of your teachers are liberal. And this is the message that, net neutrality came home because one of her coaches had told her that our internet was going to go to $700 or $800 a month. Things like that. And that's what they're being taught in schools, Joe. So, when you look, I'm going to transfer here for a second. A lot of, Betsy DeVos took a lot of shit from people. They hated her. The Democrats hated her. The teachers union hated her. The reason why they hate her is because her overall plan is the average student in the country, the federal government gives the schools $10,500. If you're in upstate New York, it's probably $16,000 to $18,000. You're somewhere really rural like Utah, it's like $6,500. But overall, the average is $10,500 per kid that goes to the federal government per school year. You break that down by, they don't even go but like 8 months. It's a chunk of change, Joe. And what Betsy wants to do, Secretary of Education, she wants to give that money back to the parents. So now, granted, it has to go to education, but now, Joe, you can choose to put your little one in, a private school, a Christian school, whatever you want to do. And I personally think that would, and here's the thing, they know it will hurt public education. Some of these people will have to actually go teach at a private school or a Christian school or whatever you want to call it, and it will kill some of the public education sector, which is, in my opinion, needed. And that's what and that's why they hate her so bad, because it would give the power of where you want your kids taught back to the parents instead of the federal government. And I think it's a great idea. Have you thought about that much? Since I know you're a new parent.
I went to Oconee Christian Academy in Seneca, South Carolina. After that, I homeschooled, and then I went to a trade school. I knew at a young age I was very political in a sense, like I had an opinion on stuff,
Right.
And my parents were very, hardcore Christian conservative. My grandparents were preachers. They hung out with Billy Graham and all that stuff. They knew these guys. They were big, Republican donors and stuff like that. So I've kind of grown up in that group on Wednesday, and every day I was at the Christian school, And when it got to the point where it's like, all right, you're going to have to go to high school because they don't cover, the high school grades at the Christian Academy, and where we live, you're going to have to go to public school. I was like, man, I do not want to be around these people. They're not like me. And I was able to convince my mom to fucking homeschool me because I just knew that if I went there, I wasn't going to fit in with the whole, knuckle dragging, type of atmosphere that was happening there. So, I'm all for kids avoiding college and going to like a trade school and learning something else, because all you're going to do if you go to college, or all you're going to do now in high school, sadly, is sit there and learn about liberal agendas, and they're gonna lie to you and brainwash you nonstop with all this BS. And then, my fear is one day, like my daughter coming home and, Dad, did you know there's 52 genders? I'm like, holy shit, who's your teacher? We're gonna go have to have a boxing match or something,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So,
yeah. That's gonna happen, man. It's just, it's not gonna happen with my littlest one because she's gonna go to, an affordable Christian school, I guess is the best way to put it. Another one of the reasons why my wife went back to work full time was to support my idiocy, and then also, for our kids, so that she could, my wife is teaching again, and so, I'm with you, man. I can't do it, especially the little one. She's 4, she'll be, 5 in February. I just can't. I can't go down the public school route anymore. And I'm glad that you were homeschooled too. I wish I'd have been more homeschooled, but I was very opinionated. Of course, I'm 39 years old, and 20 plus years ago when I was in school, we had gun racks in our trucks. And when we left school, we were going hunting or fishing. We had pistols under our front seats and a 30-06 in the back window.
I get home at 2:30, and I would be in the woods until about 7 or 8 at night when it got dark. And
Right.
that's about the time my mom got home from work. My mom's been a professor at multiple universities. My mom taught and was way up there, made her way up to like the president of one of the departments at Clemson University.
Oh, wow.
She got a degree at Clemson University. She got a degree at the University of South Carolina. She taught at the University of South Carolina, and she made it up to the top at the University of South Carolina in an executive position. And now she's the vice president of another university. So, I mean, I've grown up around, that atmosphere, and it always made me kind of understand that this is just not the place for a conservative, right-wing Republican, libertarian, whatever the hell you are, on the right side. It's not a good environment for you to be in if you're one of those, because they're just hammering down. I remember being young, the type of shit they would be talking about, and I'm sitting there thinking, I do not believe any of this stuff. This goes against everything that I have been taught and everything I find to be true and what's in my heart and what I feel like God's telling me is right and wrong. This just does not make sense, and I just don't want any part of it.
No, and that's how most of us feel, and that's why I'm going to do it with my little one. And the oldest, there's not much you can do at this point. Graduating this year, and my 11-year-old, from my first marriage. So the good thing is where she goes to school, it's a very small rural country type area to where you're not going to see the like you mentioned, you're not going to see the nonsense you see like at a Berkeley or Portland or something like that. She's not going to deal with that. I mean, there's 2 genders where she lives, I promise you, and that's what they're going to teach up there. But I
went to York Technical College in Rock Hill, South Carolina, and I got a degree in industrial engineering and and specialized in structural welding. And the class was very split. It was a perfect 50-50. I was taking history and all these other classes and shit, regular college courses. But then at the end of the day, I had to go weld for hours and complete things and, get welding tests done and, x-rays and all this shit done that they do to check the integrity of your welds, make sure there's no porosity, that it's not going to break or anything like that. But before that, during the day, I had regular college courses, and there would be debates, and there was left-wing people and right-wing people. But if you go to a regular university, you're going to be severely outnumbered in every debate. And that brings you to the point of, hey, when you go out in public, better know your shit. You better be educated, because if not, you're going to look like a damn idiot.
No, yeah, you're going to look like a fool, and you have to get your education and actually understand what's going on in this country. For all the millennials out there, listen to your parents for what they're trying to tell you. That's one of those things where what they're learning in school, it's horrendous right now on the things that are being taught, and the net neutrality thing just kind of blew my mind that they were. And now a lot of people won't talk about this, Joe. Ever since they got rid of the net neutrality, which was a Republican-ran thing to get rid of it, or campaign, I should say. The reason when they got rid of it, now we went from 12th to 6th fastest internet in the world. Everything is going better in this country under a Trump administration and their guidance. And it's because they're running things like a well-oiled machine, like a business, not like a political agenda. And
well, think about how they were able to really reverse the truth. That's why you hear people like Oprah and these big left-wing people, they always use the term your truth and things like that. They were able to take a word or a term, net neutrality, that meant something and completely deceive everyone and trick them into thinking it was another thing, and people bought it.
Right.
And people were literally voting for the death of the internet when they thought they were fighting for the birth of it or the freedom of it, the further advancement of it or some shit like that. It's like when you see that, you should look back at history now and go, what the hell else have I been lied to about, and what people got in control, and for how long were they in control, and did they have the ability to change history? You watch Hillary's America, and you go back and you look, and you have these black historians telling you, look, I was a Democrat, and I voted Democrat. I towed the line every day on that Democrat plantation, but then one day I found out, I picked up a book and saw that this was complete and total BS. The truth was the South was against slavery. It wasn't for it. They were fighting against it. So, I mean, there's so much shit that the left is able to do. They're able to manipulate and take something that's bad and make it good because they prey on the stupidity and weakness of their followers. The left knows that the left at the end of the day is easily brainwashed and freaking dumbed down.
Right.
And that's how they like it. And they love that.
Well, they want to keep them poor, too. I mean,
like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez fucking, you know.
Yeah, I mean, she's absolutely batshit crazy. And then, you know, the other thing, too, they want them poor, Joe. They want them dumb and poor on the left. That's exactly how they like them, dumb and poor. And if they keep you poor, and have you seen Dinesh D'Souza's movie, the new one, Death of a Nation, yet?
No, not yet. It's funny story about that. They aired it here, like in the area where I live. It's like they call it Palm Coast or whatever.
Right.
Base Beach, because you know Cape Canaveral is right down the fucking road. It aired for like 2 days in theaters and then was gone. They took it off. They only let it stay on for just a smidge, so I never again got to see it, man. I'm pretty pissed off.
I think I'm in a more country area than you are, so it stayed on for a few weeks here. I got to see it and interviewed Dinesh, the weekend it came out. And there's everyone needs to see that movie, especially if you want to talk about what our children are dealing with in the schools. They're not teaching history anymore, as Joe's talking about. They're not talking about Mussolini and the black shirts. They're not talking about Hitler and the brown shirts. They're not even talking about the red shirts, which is what was going on during in our country. But what you're seeing with the black shirts, the brown shirts, the red shirts is exactly what you're seeing with this Antifa movement. And Joe, I mean, it's just basically no one wants to hear that. But that's literally what they did. That's what Hitler did. That's what Mussolini did. They literally built it, would throttle anyone who spoke out against them, and eventually took over. And that's why paying attention to what's going on in history is so important. But the main thing in the movie is, and the reason why I brought up Death of a Nation, Dinesh's movie with Joe, is what Joe's telling you is a lot of what this movie's about. It's the fact that, the Democrats were the ones, they were the ones. The whole time, fascism, everything, even when FDR was, FDR actually, there are statements from him. You can go out and look this up. This is in, this is a history lesson right here. When you look at FDR, it's a complete history lesson. And literally, he was a socialist. He looked up to Mussolini. He looked up to Hitler. They had letters back and forth. And that was the premise of the Democratic Party until World War II, when America, along with our allies, crushed that socialist movement, that fascist movement of Mussolini and Hitler and, of course, the Japanese Empire. But in the U.S., the Democratic Party was looking to do the exact same thing to Americans, Joe, and it's been that way ever since. And you don't teach that in school, Joe. They don't teach it.
Yep.
And I think that's just something that. So I almost thought Joe might have had a part in the movie there because that's literally what the movie's about. Is what Joe was talking about, and so. If you haven't had a chance to go see Death of a Nation, definitely do, folks. It's worth it. The book's out, too. Go do that. Speaking of stuff that's out, Joe, you've got a pretty kick-ass website here with AmericanTriggerPullers.com with gear. I'm looking at the Make Orwell Fiction again. Just some awesome designs and shirts. And tell everybody a little bit about the site and what they can expect from it, bud.
Well, it's not technically my site. It's another friend's site. But they're allowing me to put my ideas and stuff, shirts that I come up with, and they're allowing me to use. Essentially, they already have like a big warehouse with printers and all that, and they're making the shirts. They already have the inventory, and these are good friends of mine. These are everyone who works there are veterans, former Army Rangers for the most part, and Marine recon snipers, and good guys like that. I mean, and they go out there with the same enthusiastic, attitude that they had in the military. They go in every day and sit out there and bang out these T-shirts, and they make customized gear for special forces guys that are deployed right now in Afghanistan and different parts of the world. They do all kinds of the custom engraving for all the military awards and things like that. So they're doing a lot of good stuff. So I highly encourage people to go check out AmericanTriggerPullers.com. And if you want to find some of the shirts I've made, you just click on the little 3-line button. It looks like a 3 lines stacked over each other, and it'll drop down a menu, and it'll say apparel, and then you'll see Joe Biggs right there. And it'll have some shirts that I've come up with. And then look at the rest of their shirts, man. They have really awesome, patriotic, military stuff. And if you got a friend or family member that served, you'll probably find something awesome on there for them. So check it out.
Absolutely. I mean, the one I like is the "Make America Not a Bunch of Whiny Ass Bitches Again" shirt, which is pretty stellar. And then, of course, I like the Shadow Band shirt. You've got a lot of good ones on there, man. But definitely, I'll share the link on my Twitter feed and on our Facebook pages and things like that here in just a little bit. Wanted to give that shout out there. And then I know you're working with CRTV a little bit now, correct?
Yeah, so they're doing. Well, right now I don't have my own show with them. We're in the works of getting that done, and it will be hopefully, if everything goes well, it's going to be a show about wildlife conservation and hunting and cooking.
Nice.
Something that I'm very passionate about is, the outdoors and wildlife and protecting the animals that should be protected. And, if you're going to hunt, doing it the proper way and learning how to shoot so you don't, damage the animal to a point where it's in pain and suffering. And it takes numerous shots to, take it down, going through an entire process of doing it the right way and the laws about it. And then debunking a lot of the stuff you see about big game hunting and to delve in a lot of that. But right now I'm just going on as a guest and on shows that are already in production with different hosts and going on and as a resident, expert with, on border and military and issues like that. So they have me coming in and doing stuff like that right now at the moment. The company that I'll be working closely with, they're called OpsLens, and they're former intelligence officers and special ops guys. They started a media company called OpsLens, which means like operational security,
right.
Looking through the lens of that and what's happened in the world. And a lot of these guys are, ex-agency guys and things like that who are patriots and love America. They're right-wing, they're Trump supporters. And CRTV has brought them on to film a lot of veteran material and things like that. And these guys are based out of Jacksonville, Florida. So that's one of the main reasons I came here, so I can work with other veterans and things like that and, be around other like-minded individuals and be able to film content and come up with content and create content with other badass patriots. So it's going to be fun, and I'm looking forward to a lot of the things that we have in the works and some other show ideas that we'd like to have done too.
That's awesome, man. And you guys, you can follow Joe, of course, on Twitter. And it's Rambo Biggs, I believe, but don't hold me to that. Yeah, at Rambo Biggs on Twitter as well. And end with this note, Joe. Thank you. It took up a lot of your time, man. Really enjoy just shooting the shit with you. It's always a great time. So the breaking news right now, of course, is going out there is John McCain has stated that he will end his medical treatment for brain cancer, according to the family, stating that he may be entering his, quote, final days. I'm going to try to be cordial, at this point, because there's a lot of things I could say, but, it's one of those things where he hasn't really been around in the Senate for over a year, hasn't done anything besides criticize the president. Of course, I don't want to see anyone suffer or wish anyone ill, but, it's probably time that he relinquishes that Senate seat if that's the case. Correct, Joe?
Yeah, it's time to put something. And that's a great point, though. Let's talk about leadership real quick. Unless you have to get off.
No. I got about 5 more minutes. Absolutely.
Okay, so people complain all the time about, well, Trump's going to have at the end of his presidency, 4 head of the Department of Homeland Security and CIA and FBI. That's what a good leader does.
Right.
You appoint someone to that position and you give them a scope of practice. You give them this is your to-do list. This is what you have to do. These are your tasks and duties. And if they don't complete those to the fullest of their ability, or you see that there's a bias, or they become complacent or lazy, you switch that person out. That's what good leaders do. I don't care if at the end of Trump's 8 years that there's been 5 Department of Homeland Security directors, there's been 5 directors of the CIA, there's been 5 FBI directors, there's been 5, fucking Supreme Court nominations, this and that, whatever the hell. I'm just, it doesn't matter.
Right.
How many he puts in. If they do a good job for a minute, that's great. But once they slack off, you put the next person in.
Right.
And you have to do that in the military. You promote someone as squad leader. If that squad leader sucks, you move him off to the side, you bring up the next guy, and eventually you'll find that quiet guy that you didn't know existed, that unsung hero who's been patiently waiting, and he comes out and ends up being a superstar. Because there's a lot of people out there that don't know that they have this potential, and when you put them in a place of leadership, all of a sudden they find their groove and they rise, and you get this star. There's a star out there. There's multiple stars waiting to be the next, the head of the education system and all this shit and all these different things, and the head of the VA and all this. He's just got to find it. And it's not necessarily always going to be the person who's raising their hand going, I want to be that guy.
Right.
Yeah, you want to be that guy because you want that fat paycheck.
Right.
And you want that cush job, and you want to sit back and play politics all day and be on TV.
That's exactly it. That's exactly what it is. And, it's just, it's ridiculous. It doesn't matter who is in charge of what. The president has the say-so. That's why he won an election. Doesn't matter if you like his choice for, head of the CIA or head of Secretary of State or, Attorney General or whatever. He has the right to appoint those people. He has a right to change those people if they're not doing a good job, just like Joe said. And that seems to be the problem here is, literally, it doesn't matter. The Democrats will protest anything Trump does, good or bad. Doesn't matter.
Joe Walsh yesterday tweeted out,
oh God.
if President Trump pardons Manafort, he should be impeached today. And I go,
can't stand that guy.
Manafort wasn't charged with anything that has to do with Russian collusion. This all has to do with taxes and shit like that. Let's look at all the other people that presidents in the past have pardoned. They've done some pretty effed up stuff.
Right.
Some pretty messed up stuff. To say the least, tax evasion's not one of the top ones that I'm worried about. I don't care if my next door neighbor I find out is a tax evader. Oh my God! Hey, everybody, watch out for Paul that just moved in.
Right.
He didn't pay his taxes.
Oh no!
Get a gun.
Yeah, it's absurd, Joe. The whole damn thing's absurd. And Joe Walsh is the big. Well, he's up there with Shapiro on the never Trump level for me. I've never seen. I do too, man. I'll tell you this little story. I'll end on this note so you can have a laugh for your Friday. Got into a little Twitter war with Shapiro, and he basically, called me fat, made a fat joke, and I said, well, the difference is I can actually lose weight. You can't get any taller. And and then of course, he blocked me for a month or so. So, those people, they just literally, I don't know who. They want Mitt Romney. I don't know what putz they want, in the White House, but it's absurd. And then the fact that we all tried to warn Utah about Mitt Romney for the Senate. And, of course, they put him in there. He's basically like putting a Democrat in the United States Senate. It's a terrible idea. But Utah, you voted that way. So congrats to see if that screws the country up here in a few months. But, we just have to fight, Joe. And you know that. We have to just keep pushing hard, fight, educate people, get out, folks. Like Joe said, knock on doors, make phone calls for campaigns. You know what? It doesn't take a whole lot of effort. I enjoy doing it, by the way. Because sometimes it's fun. Sometimes you get people that talk shit. But either way, it's enjoyable. Go grab 100 signs from the congressional person or Senate person you're backing and go put them out. Just get involved, Joe. I'll let you have some closing thoughts, man.
Yeah, just remember, before social media, we were able to win elections. We were able to be heard. We didn't... Just because you're silenced on social media doesn't mean that your rights are being taken away. Technically, yes, it does. But what I'm saying is we as a people lived, survived, and thrived before Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and all those other freaking websites. And we can do it again. We don't need them. All you got to do is get out in your community, find other like-minded people, and expand your group and have meetings and hang out and talk about stuff. And then go get involved and come up with plans on how you can find someone in your group that can run for something local office and then help that person out. And, just do stuff there at a local level and expand and move on. And that's how you make bigger and better changes.
That's exactly it. Folks, this has been Joe Biggs here on the Matt Couch Show on America First Media Group. No Holds Barred edition. Joe, we got to do this more, man. It's always fun, brother.
Yep.
Awesome, man. Guys, follow Joe Biggs at Rambo Biggs on Twitter. You can also follow him, of course, and go out and get his new gear at AmericanTriggerPullers.com. Click the little apparel tab, go down to Joe Biggs. You'll see shirts that he's designed. Joe, I hope you have a great weekend, man. Stay safe, and thanks for all you do, brother.
Yes, sir.
See you, bud. Folks, can't thank you guys enough for being on the program today, for joining us and everything. We can't do what we do without all of you. Folks, check out our official website, www.af-mg.com. af-mg.com, the official website of the American First Media Group. If you want to help in our investigations, there's two ways. You can go to fundly, fundly.com, Fundly.com/America First Media. That's Fundly.com/America First Media. And then last but not least, GoFundMe.com/America-First-Media-Investigations. For Matt Couch and the entire America First Media Group team, God bless, and we will talk tomorrow.